Walt Disney, the man behind the mouse, the imagination, the magic, and the imagination, and the animation. His name itself automatically creates an image and or memories in people's minds. Pictured here is Walt Disney and his famous mouse Mickey. Walt Elias Disney was born December 5th, 1901 in Chicago, Illinois. Walt was one of the 5 children and grew up on a farm. He was an artist at just 7 years old when he began drawing and selling sketches to his neighbors. At 9 years old, the Disney family moved to Missouri. While in high school, he spent time drawing, taking photographs, and contributing to the school newspaper. And at night, attended the Academy of Fine Arts. During this time, World War I was occurring. At just 16 years old, he attempted to enlist in the military, which, as most of us would guess, he was rejected. While he did not give up, he dropped out of high school and joined the Red Cross Ambulance Corps. Walt was sent overseas and spent a year driving an ambulance and chauffeuring Red Cross officials. He ended this service in 1919. From here, a young Walt Disney started his long journey to where he ended up, in California. After service, he began working for Pesmont Rubin Commercial Art Studio, where he met a key factor in building his empire. Walt met Ube Earworks, an artist who eventually became a key animator at Walt Disney Studios. When they were both laid off, they created iWorks, Disney Commercials Artists. In 1922, they transitioned into Laughograms Films. When this company went bankrupt after a year, Walt took his $40 drawing materials and a dream out to Los Angeles, California. Walt Disney with some of his sketch work in this picture. Walt arrived in California in the summer of 1923 with an animated pilot to what would become Alice in Wonderland, staying with family and working out of an uncle's garage. He and his brother established Disney Brothers Studios. In 1924, Ube Iwerks joined the company, known today as Walt Disney Company. Walt actually started his venture with animation and in movies. At a young age, he worked in the cartoon and short film industry. With his goal to move on, Walt learned a hard lesson. In 1927, Walt was set to produce Oswald and Lucky Rabbit for Charles Mintz. A year later, the two broke their contract, at which time Walt realized that under contract, he did not own any of his work. This tough lesson encouraged the young Walt Disney to be sure that he kept all rights to anything he created after parting ways with the character Oswald and Charles Mintz. The creation of the most famous mouse in the world began. As Walt's creations progressed, he was able to move from a family garage to a small rental space and onto an actual recording studio. It was in this new studio that Walt Disney created the mouse we all know as Mickey. Mickey gained popularity in his role as Steamboat Willie, which opened in a theater in New York in 1928, at which time Mickey Mouse was born, immediately gaining popularity. Walt Disney went on to create several other popular animated cartoons introducing other characters. The basis of these experimenting with quick humor, emotions, and musical theatrics. All this creativity won him Oscars each year over the next decade. Disney, one of the most famous names in history, has since made his mark on the world, beginning with animation in black and white to color and on the big screen. Walt Disney was able to bring all of the magic together in what we all know as Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. With 2 Disneyland parks in the United States, as well as several others in countries around the world, Disney is a household name around the globe. Although Walt Disney passed away on December 15, 1966, according to Brian Lowry, after Walt's death, the Disneyland company continued to grow and is so big, in fact, that it's worth disclosing his wife was among one of the 180,000 people who worked there. His legacy has continued to this day and will continue for much longer. In this next slide, Walt Disney is in front of the Disneyland Castle with his famous mouse and the rest of his crew. And then here is the works cited page. Thank you.